What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, Danny FYR, Find Your Reason. I'm Danny B, aka Stan, aka whatever you want to call me. I'm gonna just do another little short video today, another little Mr Ballen short. This one's titled I'm not quite sure what the title is of it, to be honest. Let's have a quick look and get it up there. This woman had an evil secret. So I don't know what this is going to be about, but it sounds like she's an evil lady. So let's have a look, see what she's done wrong.
From the time Garnett Spears was born on December 3rd, 2008, he was a sick child. At just 2 months old, he stopped being able to keep food down and he began losing weight. His mother, Lacey, switched him from breast milk to formula, thinking that might help, but it didn't, so she switched to a combination between breast milk and formula. That didn't work, so she brought him to the doctor. After running a blood test, it was determined Garnett's sodium levels were too high, which was most likely the cause for his upset stomach. And so the doctor gave Garnett an IV, which flushed the sodium out of his system, and immediately Garnett seemed better off. And then afterwards, when Lacey asked the doctor why could this be happening, he said he didn't know, that perhaps it was something in his formula, or maybe even something in her breast milk. He gave her some advice on what she should be eating, and then gave her the obligatory reminder to, don't give him anything besides breast milk or formula. He gave her special formula to use, and then he sent her on her way. Despite following doctor's orders, over the next several months, Garnett continued to get sick, be brought into the doctor's office, only to discover his sodium levels were elevated again. Finally, after 9 months of this still going on, and Lacey not getting any answers about what was going on with her son.
9 months and a son, sodium, it's just salt, isn't it? So I mean, high salt levels, obviously it's not good for you one little bit. So I mean, oh, that poor baby must have been going through.
She brought him to a specialist who suggested, as a short-term solution, why don't we just put a feeding tube directly into Garnett's abdomen? That way we can guarantee he's getting the exact right mix of nutrients, and if he's still having elevated sodium levels after that, then we'll look at other reasons this could be happening. After it was inserted, Garnett's condition seemed to dramatically improve, leading doctors to believe it had to have been some strange ingredient inside the formula or something inside of Lacey's breast milk. But despite his improved condition, Garnett was not 100% healthy. Over the next few years, periodically, his sodium levels would spike, which no doctor could explain, and it would cause stomach pains and headaches, and in some instances, it would cause seizures. And Lacey, who diligently documented every single food, fluid, anything that went inside of her son, at the first sign of trouble, she would rush him to the hospital. But all doctors could ever do was administer an IV to flush the sodium out, and then give her the obligatory reminder to only feed him certain foods that were low in sodium. And so for the next few years, life went on like that.
Well, I'm guessing by the title of this video, I'm guessing that it's the mother doing it to her own son. I mean, that's just my opinion just by the title of this video, but we'll carry on watching, see what happens.
2012, when Garnett was 4, they moved out of Lacey's hometown in Alabama to New York. They moved into a retirement community called the Fellowship, which is a place where younger people can go and live for free in exchange for caring for the elderly. And Garnett loved it there. He would run around the halls and poke his head in the older folks' room, and they all loved Garnett. It was really just a happy place for both Lacey and for Garnett. During that time, Lacey started a blog called Garnett the Great, which documented Garnett's life and their kind of collective struggles to figure out what was going on with Garnett with these weird sodium level spikes. The blog gained a lot of support, not only because of Garnett's condition, but because this was not the first hardship the mother and son had had to face. When Lacey was pregnant with Garnett, Garnett's father, who was a police officer, was killed in a car accident. And so the supporters of this blog were really eager to find ways to give back and support this mother and son. But no amount of love and support could have prevented what happened in January of 2014. On the 17th of that month, Garnett woke up with a high fever and stomach pains, and on the drive into the hospital, he had a seizure. When they arrived, doctors tested Garnett's blood, and like usual, his sodium levels were through the roof. And so they administered an IV, which reduced his symptoms, and after he was back to normal, they said they wanted to keep him at the hospital for a couple of days to observe him because of that seizure he had. They wanted to make sure that, one, it didn't happen again, and two, there wasn't something else going on. For the first 2 days of Garnett's observation at the hospital, he was asymptomatic. They tested his blood, his sodium levels were normal, and everything seemed to be going fine. And in fact, they were getting ready to discharge him when all of a sudden, on January 19th, so 2 days after arriving, he suddenly seemed to be in much worse shape. When they tested his blood, sure enough, his sodium levels were at an all-time high. And so after giving him an IV and attempting to lower his sodium levels, it just wasn't happening quickly enough. And so they transferred him to a specialized children's hospital that could handle this situation better, and they were able to bring his levels back down to normal. However, the damage had been done. This final enormous sodium spike had led to massive brain swelling that ultimately killed him a couple of days later. After his death...
Poor baby. He actually died. I mean, that's terrible. That's terrible. Obviously, she'd been doing something to him. Let's carry on and find out. Not a very nice video, this one. I don't really like things involving kids, but I've started, so we'll finish.
Doctors were baffled at how his sodium could have spiked on January 19th because they were closely monitoring what was going into his body. And sodium does not just suddenly appear in your body. It needs to be inserted into your body. And so they reviewed all of his medical files, and that included looking at the footage of the camera that had been set up at the foot of the bed facing Garnett to monitor him for seizures. And on that camera, they saw his own mother, Lacey, take him out of bed on the 19th, carrying a white cup and an attachment to Garnett's feeder tube. She takes Garnett out of bed. She walks him to the bathroom. A couple minutes later, she brings him back, puts him back in bed, and seconds later, he's violently ill. They come in, they test his blood, and what do you know? The sodium is at that critical high point that ultimately killed him. Doctors were obviously very suspicious of Lacey and what she was doing with her son in the bathroom, and so they showed it to police. Police launch an investigation. They go to Lacey's house, and as soon as they walk inside, there is table salt all over the house. There's salt on every table, and inside of the boy's room was an IV stand with this brackish-looking liquid inside of an IV bag that they tested, and it was salt water that contained the equivalent of 70 salt packets. Lacey had been intentionally poisoning her son with too much salt since he was born because she liked the attention she received. Lacey had a history of lying to get attention. She used to lie as a kid and even as an adult about different illnesses that she said she had, and she also lied about Garnett's father. He was not a police officer. He had not been killed in an accident. He was just a former friend that she refused to let see Garnett. During Garnett's final hospital stay, after doctors informed Lacey that her son's brain had swollen so much it was unlikely he would survive, all caused by Lacey, she posted this picture to Facebook. Shortly after, Garnett slipped into a coma and never regained consciousness.
How could she smile like that knowing what she's
Lacey
been
was
doing to that
sentenced to
child?
20 years to life in prison. So that's going to do it, guys. If you found the secret in today's episode, let us know.
Sorry, I spoke over him there. I'll take it back just
swollen so much it was unlikely he would survive, all caused by Lacey. She posted this picture to Facebook. Shortly after, Garnett slipped into a coma and never regained consciousness. He was 6 years old. Lacey was sentenced to 20 years to life in prison. So that's going to do it, guys. If you found the secret in today's episode, let us know in the comments what it is and where you found it. So give us the timestamp. And if you're the first to do that, we'll pin you at the top of the comments section. If you enjoyed today's video and you haven't done this already, please...
Digital marketer, flooded by an ocean of...
So yeah, that was that Mr Ballen short story. I didn't really like it. I didn't like that story one bit. I mean, how could a mother do something so vile to her own child, just for attention. She killed her own child for a bit of attention. I mean, it just the mind boggles at that one. Like, just a vile human being. I mean, that's my opinion. She could have serious things wrong with her head, and I mean, but ultimately she killed her own child, and nah, in my eyes there's no worse a person. So yeah, I didn't like that video. I hope you enjoyed watching it, but it was a pretty disturbing one for me, I think. So anyway, that'll do for that one. Thanks for watching. I'm Danny B, aka Stan, aka whatever the you wanna call me, and I'm out. Peace, love y'all, bye.